Let's do it. Alrighty, here we go. My name is Marty Fox from WHITEFOX. Now, here's the deal.
Welcome to another episode of With the Fox. I'm joined, of course, by CEO, founder, host of the judge of the block, serial property flipper, Marty Fox. Great to have you with us. In between flipping a house.
Yes, we are.
Busy time for you.
Oh, it's crazy.
But we are joined today by a very special woman who's had incredible history, and we're going to dive into just how she managed to change the game in a way when it comes to influencer marketing and certainly in the retail space. But Erin Deering, it's wonderful to have you with us.
Hi.
Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to go back in time. We're going to delve back into your history. If you can cast your mind back to the days pre when all of this just blew up. But
yes.
For those who don't know, of course,
Yes.
in 2012, your journey started with the Triangl bikinis,
Yep.
which is synonymous now. It's feel like, Marty, people talk about starting businesses. I want to do what
Mate,
Triangl
I
did.
clocked Charlotte at St Kilda Beach in a pair of these bikinis. They were orange. And I
Like binding?
Yeah,
Right,
and
like
I
neon?
looked
Yeah,
over my
sorry.
shoulder and went, holy shit, I'm going. It was the
Oh, so
bikini.
pre-relationship, you saw her
Mate,
in a
this
pair
was
of triangles. Yeah.
pre-relationship. Met her at the SP. The next day, a whole group, there was like 20 of us went to the beach and Charlotte was rocking one of your bikinis.
Oh my God.
And yeah, unbelievable.
Well, give us the sort of the genesis of this. How did it start? Were you
Yeah.
already interested in particularly in bikini design or in that sort of
No, I
women's
never, not
clothes?
swimwear. I was like not a swimwear person. I think that's how it came about because I wasn't really interested and I didn't think that anything suited me because I was always into fashion and all the swimwear back then, like in 2012, was either surf brands or expensive, like Zimmerman, like totally out of my price range. They were like $200 a bikini.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it came about because I couldn't find anything because I wasn't interested. And so there was kind of like, oh, there's actually a gap here for a bikini that's still affordable but not a surf brand because I didn't want to wear Billabong or Rusty or go to the, surf dive and ski and get one of those. I was like, I don't want that, but I can't afford Zimmerman. I need an in between. So that's
there was no
actually,
option?
there was no option. I swear, like this was the era, especially over in the US where every celebrity did a swimwear line. Like that became, but they were always like beaded and like just, they were ugly. There was nothing
Like
cool.
J-Lo.
There was nothing chic. Yeah, I feel like it was all, I don't even know, like the reality TV wasn't around then, so I don't even know who they were, but they were just like, maybe like Bold and the Beautiful actress would like do a swimwear line. But there wasn't anything in fashion. Like a couple of brands would do like a little line of swimwear, but no one was dedicating an entire brand to it. Like not in Australia and not that we knew in the global market in that mid-tier, under $100 price range.
So you've identified an opportunity in the marketplace.
Yes, huge gap.
What were you doing prior to that though?
I was working in fashion. So I was in e-commerce, actually. I started off doing product development, marketing. I kind of did anything in head office in fashion. I started off actually on the shop floor in retail.
But because
Didn't
what I'm
study.
trying to get to, like, did you know the know-how of how to get a brand off the ground?
No, absolutely not.
So this was like full like bootstrapping.
No. I'd worked for a few small brands, like small businesses before Triangl. So I kind of knew a little bit of how it worked. Very like basic level though of like how a business would run. And then I had the e-commerce kind of understanding, and e-commerce was like booming back then. It was like new. And I knew that that was something that I thought was going to get even bigger. So I knew that whatever brand that we launched, it had to be an e-com brand and it had to be like a fashion kind of, and also from my experience in retail, I knew it had to be very customer centric. So it had to be really about what the customer wanted and it had to be really about servicing them because I hated fashion brands that were too cool. Like I hated that. Like when you went into a cool store and they were all like, they'd kind of like look you, look you down. And it still happens in fashion and I just don't understand. It's like you're just missing the opportunity to sell and to connect and like what are you doing?
Yeah, why be standoffish when there's people in here that want to buy something?
Yeah.
I see that a lot when
Yeah.
walking into some of these shops, particularly on Collins Street. You do get looked up and down.
Yeah.
And it's like, hold on, why aren't you helping me?
Yeah.
Like, everything in here is expensive.
Yeah.
I'm not in here all the time.
No.
Sell me something.
Yeah, overseas they get it. They're like so nice. They get service so much better over there. But here we still have this weird, like they're not interested, or they judge you immediately and decide whether you're a dollar sign to them or someone they're not like
Our
worthy of your
retail
time.
staff here need
Yeah.
to treat us how our hospo staff treat us. So our hospo staff here are
All over us,
phenomenal.
yeah.
Yes.
I think we're global leaders.
Yeah, they're good.
So how did you decide? So take us through the
Yeah.
ideation in terms of,
Yes.
okay, so we've identified that there's a need for a middle
Yeah.
tier kind of bikini
Yeah.
slash. And by the way, I assume this time one pieces aren't really a thing anymore, are they? Like they're for mums.
Yeah, no, yeah.
It's
And
bikinis?
I was 27, so like I wasn't in my one piece era yet. I
No.
still am not. I still don't understand why. I think it's a safety thing for women that get a bit older, because I think having that piece, I feel like it's more, it draws attention to a tummy if you have a tummy. I feel like anyway, it's another story for another day. But yeah,
So that's the first piece, but then the neoprene's
Yes.
the interesting one. Take us through how
yeah,
that'll.
so we didn't launch with neoprene. So anyway, so basically we came up with the idea. I had a co-founder and we got into a relationship, and the idea, we decided to do bikinis on our second date, which was at the beach. So that was kind of how it came about, like
wow.
very
So this is
organically. It was a date. It was the second
Second
date
day
at the
talking
beach.
business plans.
Oh yeah, no, it was literally, I got down to the beach and we were there, and I told him the story of how I couldn't find a bikini and how actually I thought that there was this big gap. And I thought I was just saying that off the cuff. Like I wasn't thinking too down the line of like, let's start a business. And he, 10 years older than me, already very much in that entrepreneurial mindset, was like, we should start a swimmer business. And I was like, we should. Like, having no idea. Sure, why not? And then we did.
Well, that
And-
guarantees date number 3.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Guarantees date number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, ongoing forever. It was kind of like a big commitment,
Yes.
but also felt like the right. I was like, why? I'm a very much like, why not kind of person. So I was like, sure, why not? Let's start a business. And then we sort of started just like stepping through it, coming up with the name, coming up with the logo. We both had full-time jobs. So he was a designer and I was in e-commerce. So it was just like kind of deciding even if we wanted to commit to it and if we wanted to do it and how it would look. And it was all very slow. And then sort of about 3 or 4 months after that, we decided that Craig decided, let's move overseas to like focus on this and quit our jobs and like, let's really have a crack. And I was like, that's so exciting. Like, let's do that. Not thinking of the potential downside of moving to another country that I'd never been to work on a brand that I didn't know how to get off the ground in an industry that I'd never worked in before in swimwear. But I was also just like really excited and felt like we would just make it work, which we did, even though it was horrendously tricky at the start. So we moved to Hong Kong, sold everything. We had like 10 grand Aussie, which we thought was so much money. And then we spent that in the first like 2 months. And we were flat broke. Living in Hong Kong, couldn't work because we didn't have visas.
But this was also Hong Kong's
This is
like heyday as well. Like, everything was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like the energy of the city was.
Was this going into Shenzhen and like were you going across
so
to China a lot? Or
every single day pretty much we would catch the train to Shenzhen and then catch the train from Shenzhen into Guangzhou and then get a bus from Guangzhou to our factory, which was like 2 hours from that. And we would do that like 3 times a week to make samples, to get the fits right, to pick factories, to find the trims, to find the packaging, to everything. And it was all had to be done ourselves because we couldn't afford anyone else to do it or help us.
And
So
what
we
about
had
the
to go
language
and do
barrier,
it.
or does it just not exist? Because if
It does exist.
It does exist.
In that part of like more rural southern China,
Yeah.
no one speaks English. Like we would
Yeah.
be like followed down the street because they were so interested that these 2 tall, Craig's 6'4" and I'm like almost 6 foot, like 2 tall white people just when we walked
oh,
everywhere.
you would have been like beacons.
I know. And they were just kind of like, what the fuck? And like everything, nothing was in English. And all meals, if we ordered food, we would guess and we would point and we would try and like show a picture of like a chicken and like this, don't give us something weird. We ate some really questionable food.
But was it just the best fun?
It was so fun. It was so like grueling. Like I think because I wrote a book about it all and like the one thing that the feedback I get a lot from that book is people going, I had no idea how hard you worked.
Yeah.
Because it's like a unicorn business, overnight success story.
Yes.
No one really kind of realized that it's like, no, we were in like the most disgusting, unsafe hotels. Like thank God I had Craig and there was a man who was like an imposing looking man because it was not safe at all.
So this is what makes this podcast really hard because like even walking here, I'm thinking to myself, all right, you've done Triangl, then
Yeah.
you've got 4 kids,
Yeah.
you've written a book, you've gone for Lord Mayor, you love you love property. Our kids have been to the same school. I genuinely think
Which way do I go?
No, this could be a 6-hour podcast.
I know.
So it's like,
I know.
it's like how do we progress into all the next
I
things? 'Cause
know.
honestly, we will be here for 6 hours.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot.
So
there's a lot
it's
to cover.
literally, you come up with this idea, you get over there, you immerse yourself. What is the timeline of building it, which there's so much information online that people can find. It's so interesting.
Yes.
And obviously your book is
Yes.
unbelievable. But how does life change when you start going through the motions of you're starting to see runs, you're getting big names on board?
Yes.
Talk us through how things then start to evolve from the person that's gone over there with 10 grand in the bank to now being respected in fashion, respected in business, a absolute, person that people look up to for just getting shit done. How does it all flow on?
That was pretty terrifying, actually.
Yeah.
Because I was so young. I was like 29 when we really took off. Had no idea how to run a business, had no idea how to suddenly level up, I guess, and act differently because suddenly we had all this money and we had all this success, and it went from us reaching out to everybody to then everybody suddenly reaching out to us. And it was like everyone always wants to know like what was the secret sauce to Triangl and how did you have this overnight success, because I want that. And what my advice would be like, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Because you don't want...
What are some of those metrics? Like what are the names or the numbers or the things that are burnt in your mind that someone that hasn't come across you can quickly go bang, bang, bang?
So we, at our peak, were selling 2,000 pairs of bikinis a day and making probably 100 to 150 US, like 150 grand US, which I want to say, although it was almost parody back then, which was kind of annoying, I guess, a day. So we were like... Basically, at our peak, it was almost $1 million a week that we were bringing in revenue.
Sorry, there was a day when you had your first day and you weren't like...
Our first day was no sales.
Yes.
And then it would be like 1 to 2 orders a week.
Yes.
And we would have growth, but it would be small growth.
You're still in Hong Kong at this point?
Still in Hong Kong. We'd have like 1 to 2 orders a week, and then we'd have maybe 4 orders a week, and then we'd maybe get 2 orders a day, and then we'd maybe like get to, and this happened over like maybe a couple of months. So it was like, only was 6 months before we actually had consistent... Like
where was the springboard moment?
The springboard moment wasn't until the year after.
So 2 years in?
So 1.5 years in.
Yeah.
So we sold our first bikini January 2013. 6 months later, we were probably selling, I would say, like 10 to 20 to 30 pairs a week.
I've got a fact check here.
Yeah.
So 2013 was the first bikini.
Yeah.
I saw Charlotte in her bikini in, what would have that been? 2009. Would have it been your bikini?
No, that wasn't it.
That's so funny.
No, it was a
nice story, though. It's a good story.
It was a fucking good bikini.
Yeah, let's
I remember it was orange.
It was orange.
All we know is bikinis can cut through.
Bikinis can cut through. Neon orange bikinis have cut through.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 2013, and then a year... It was 2014 when Kendall Jenner posted. So basically we had this great Instagram strategy, and it was amazing because Instagram was growing for businesses, and so we jumped on that wave, and that was just... We had this Triangl girl kind of movement that was happening, and that was going really well.
Was that organic?
Yes. Super organic. Yeah, we were
They're just posting themselves and they're
posting themselves because we were the first brand that I know ever, and I think we did pioneer it to gift without expectation of anything in return.
Yes.
Because there was already a bit of like, we'll send you this in exchange for this. Like we want to post, or there weren't stories back then. We want to post, but we would just gift for saying we want you in Triangl. We want you to know about our brand, and so here's a bikini. We think you'd look cute in it, and just banking on the fact that they might talk about it, share it, whatever.
Well, it's like we had Tom Steinfeld on the podcast a few weeks ago, Channel 9 News, and he wrote an email to North Korea and just said, hey, can I come and interview you? It's that sort of thing. Putting it out there to the world.
And years later, they came back to him.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Like putting that sort of stuff out there.
Put it out there.
So Kendall Jenner, was there like a connection? Did you know?
No.
Just like send it to her PR?
No. So this would be the most famous story. It's actually the FOMO story, which someone else coined, and now it's like people know it as that story. And we were gifting groups of girls by this time. So we'd expanded our strategy of gifting individuals to saying to one girl that we found, hey, we would love to send you a bikini, plus do you have like 4 or 5 friends that might want to wear one as well? Send them to your friends, because we knew then that would create this like bubble of excitement. So she'd go and tell her friends, and then they'd all jump online and pick one.
But then you get that gang shot.
And then they'd all get the bikini, and they'd all fight over what they wanted, and then they'd get them and try them on together, and they'd all go wear them together. And it created this real movement, and that was going so well for us already. And then we were like, who do we want? Like at the same time, we were kind of like, who do we want to get our bikinis on? Like who are the biggest stars in the world that we'd like to wear Triangl? Like let's go after them. And the top one was Kendall Jenner. So we were already gifting a few of her friends, Bella Hadid and Hailey Baldwin.
Who weren't who they are
But
now.
they weren't who they were. No. Like they were like kind of long-term Triangl girls already by then. Like we would regularly send them bikinis, and Hailey would take cute photos in front of a lake and we'd be like, that's lame, but like that's so cute because she was very girl next door. She's like 16. Bella would always like hoik the bikinis up way too high on her like hips, like very like sexy already back then. And we were like, that's not our aesthetic. Like why is she hoiking them up?
You wouldn't say anything.
No, because we were like, we knew they were very influential little like Hollywood LA girls. And then we kind of thought, why don't we take this strategy of gifting a group of friends and let's do it to all of Kendall's group, but let's not send it to Kendall and just hope that she gets shitty and jealous and reaches out to us. And she did. It was just like she got our email address off one of her friends and said, like, I really want one, because obviously they were all wearing them around the pool and she wasn't. Oh. And that is what catapulted us. That was when everything really shifted, because we were already making grounds in the US market just because Instagram was an easy global platform that allowed us an entry into that market, but she took it to the next level. And that then is what just turned everyone's it was already, people knew about us, but that cemented the trust and the understanding that this was a brand that they needed. And then everything just shifted, and Triangl just kind of became this viral must-have bikini, and it had like a chokehold on any girl between the ages of 13 and 30.
And how do you then scale operationally with people? And like, did you at that point know, okay, we will exit this at a particular point in time?
No. This is why I always say the unicorn business model that people want is not a good one, and people shouldn't go after it, because it really makes it impossible to grow your infrastructure and your logistical side of the business, operational side of the business in a balanced, mindful, considered way. It just makes everything on heat. Like everything needed to be done a week ago, and it was just Craig and I. We hadn't hired a team. We didn't have time to hire a team because our focus was on making sure we could make enough bikinis.
Service
and so
orders, right?
Yeah, so Craig's like in China still, like there's like make more. Yeah, and I was just dealing with all the customer care and the marketing and the PR and finding girls and keeping the momentum going, and I was so stressed about that stopping. Like I was terrified that one day I was like, I couldn't understand this concept of like when a brand got momentum, because it's not a tangible thing, right?
Yes,
and so I would just be like, what happens though if it just stops?
But did you ever put yourself, because it was also organic and driven by these sales and orders, did you ever get into that position of feeling that pressure of debt? Because it doesn't seem like it's the type of business that has those issues.
No, we were cash flow positive from
Correct.
like 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
Like we worked really hard on being that. So there was no debt.
You've got no staff, you've got no
Yeah.
bricks and mortar.
Our profit margins are when private equity came knocking, because they were like, what is this brand? And they looked at our like P&Ls. They were like, we've never seen a brand like this ever. Like ever.
And did they end up acquiring?
No, because they were like, it's all you two. Like there's no infrastructure.
worry,
so
yeah.
we can't buy or acquire because we need you. So any exit strategy would have been like a 5 to 10 year exit strategy to pull us eventually out of the business, which would have been horrendous, because then you become subject to sales targets and hitting them, and you end up working for someone else.
Oh,
so we were like, no. Yeah. But we entertained it for a very long time.
So can I ask just quickly, because I think there was a turning point there, obviously with the Kendall thing, but
Yes.
previous to that, when did, I'm asking because I think this is synonymous with
Yes.
the brand, when did neoprene become the thing?
Yes.
And what was the things that people don't understand about that as a fabric and how it works?
Yeah, because we didn't launch with it. We launched
No.
with nylon spandex, and we were about 2 to 3 months into that, and we just felt like it wasn't going to get us where we wanted
Well,
to
you're
go.
the same as everyone, aren't you?
Yeah, we were like, this isn't it. We need a fabric that or something that gets people excited. And then Craig was doing his fabric market trips that he always did, and he did one without me because I'd gone back to Australia to sell the brand in Australia for the summer. And he like sends me a photo, and he's like, I think we should do neoprene. And I was like, well, I don't know. And he's like, I'm going to make up a sample. I'm going to send it to you. Tell me what you think. And he's made up a sample, sent it over. I tried it on, and I was like,
How good
this
did
is
it feel on?
So good.
It felt unbelievable.
Like a
Oh my
wetsuit,
God.
but
It
not.
just
Like-
holds
Yeah.
its shape
Yeah.
and it looks so good on. It like smooths everything out. Oh my God. I remember like the lines when like
Yes.
I was selling it to people online and I was like, it's smoothing and lifting and firming and it holds you in.
Yeah, my wife had a pair.
Yeah.
I remember. And you know what? The big zip as well was really
Yeah.
smart. Like it was different. You didn't have zips on a bikini.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they just
yeah.
had zips.
It was like such a, our big thing was the black binding that was our big sort of
Calling
identifier
card, yeah.
in the market because we did these neon colors and then we added a black binding. Very simple, but that is literally all it took for people to go, that's different, that looks different. And on Instagram, it was just a matter of having a product that looked different. And then people were getting it and going, oh no, this feels, I mean, it wasn't that breathable. So you get really hot in it, it was sweaty, but it felt really good. And it was new. Like it just felt like we were, even though it was swimwear, somehow we brought, like it was a new,
It's the new thing,
it was a new category. So it was like, people were just like, I want this. And it also, back then flat lays were huge. Like everyone did a beautiful, and it looked like nylon spandex doesn't look good on flat lay because it gets all crinkly, but neoprene lies flat. So like for a flat lay, it was like God tier.
And correct me if I'm
that
wrong,
really
it
worked.
did suit various body types
It
as
did.
well.
It
Like my
suited
wife's quite tall
everyone.
and thin.
Yep.
That worked really well, but it worked
Yep.
with bustier girls.
It did,
and-
yeah. It was like really for like a curvier girl as well. And it was funny because you wouldn't think swimwear would work online that well because people want to try it on. But actually, and one of the biggest reasons I wanted to do e-com for swimwear was I wanted to rule out people trying it on in a store because that's a really soul-crushing experience for a woman when there's a 5-way mirror at David Jones with the worst lighting and you just like catch your reflection in the back and you're like, oh my God, what?
Not wearing this.
What? So having people get a bikini where they can try it on in the comfort of their own home with their mirror that they know they look good in, with the lighting they're comfortable with, it's going to be more affirming for them. And that actually really landed for people and they really, really bought into that and they really, really wanted to buy swimwear online. And I think it really changed that for a lot of brands where they were able to sell swimwear online, whereas I think it just wasn't really something anyone thought would be able to be done.
No. And then this is 2013.
That's 2013, yeah.
When does the Triangl sort of era for you come to a close?
Yeah. So we moved to Monaco in 2015 when we got really rich and we were like, well, that's
awesome.
new money like tattooed on our. We're like, where can we live? Well, let's live there. Tax free. Super yachts, like let's go enjoy this.
So you've got a team in Shenzhen now. You've got
We've got a supply chain team in Hong Kong that we'd set up. There's about 6 people. Still no one to support my side of the business. We had customer care representatives. We had this amazing group of women in the Philippines that all worked from home and they were like my little family. We went to Manila and we'd go and meet them and I still talk to quite a few of them today actually. I got really close with a lot of them.
But were you genuinely in Monaco to save with taxes? Like were you properly
Yes.
set up there and it was done all
done legit. We like got, we
Wild.
were Monegasque. We were residents. Craig still lives there. Still
Still
home.
lives there today?
Still lives there. Yeah. Because we wanted a tax. I mean, Hong Kong was tax favorable. It was 15% business tax, and then we looked at all the others around the world. There was Singapore, I think 21. Even London was better. Like Australia was like an absolute N.
and what was
like,
and what
no.
and for everyone like that doesn't know, what was the tax situation in Monaco?
It's 0.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, 0%, and it's
How long were you a local in Monaco?
3 years. So I got a bit over it because it's La La Land over there. And like the romance and honeymoon period ended for me pretty quickly once I had kids and realized that I actually didn't have any friends because there's no one. There's like a small Australian community there of like some really great women, but a lot of them were leaving. And also I just didn't have time to make friends. I had 2 children while I was there and we were still running a business. So
was the time difference annoying as well? Like, was it okay?
it was okay actually. We traveled a lot. Like we looked to move to New York. Like we almost bought a place there like many times over because we wanted to move there, but we couldn't get our head around the tax situation because if you spend more than 120 days in the US, you become subject to paying tax there. And we were like, no,
So did you
get out.
But see, with the tax, like, did you not consider just paying tax and earning more and it balancing
Look,
out?
I did. I was
Yeah.
fine with that. I was like, I prefer the lifestyle over and the quality of life. And our biggest market was in the US, so I really wanted to build the business out there. But Craig was really adamant that he was just really set in that way by then. And he kind of thought, I can base myself here and just travel, and that's enough for me. Whereas I didn't want to travel. I wanted to base myself somewhere, and then basing myself full time in Monaco.
Well, it's like you're suffocated in Monaco in a way.
I was.
Yeah.
He loves it. It still suits his life a lot. But when you have kids and you start thinking you want to have a home, I was like, man, I want this to be my home.
So had there been an agreement on this New York setup, do you think your life would be totally different?
Totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually know who bought the place that we almost bought, and they did it so well. And
George Clooney. No,
it's someone pretty well known.
Yeah.
And it's the Lauren Ratner, who's the head of brand at Rode Beauty. So she's one of Hailey Bieber's closest friends, and she's amazing and she's wonderful, and her husband has like a media company, and they have an LA home and a New York home, and that's their New York home. And I was like, I think we bought that. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, is it the coin? And she's like, yep. I'm like,
we're going to try to do a video walkthrough maybe when we're in New York.
It's one of those typical Soho lofts, like the pressed tin ceilings, super high, beams in the middle, giant long like living area that's like the
floor to
size.
ceiling glass.
Yeah. I know, and I'm like, and we would have got it for a steal, to be honest.
So then,
anyway,
when did Triangl for you stop being your focus?
Yes. Look, once I had Oscar in 2015, I definitely pulled away a bit anyway.
That's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But only 2 years of Triangl. Like,
2 years
that's the crazy
I was like,
thing. I know.
I'm tired. I'm done. Yeah, I wasn't done. I was just tired.
Are sales dwindling, or it's still the same?
No, it's still going really well. Yep. That was our biggest year, 2015.
Wow.
So, but the business was running itself at this point because it was only in one website. We didn't have any, so it was like it was just you didn't have to really do much to it.
How good's that?
But I had a couple of years of feeling really kind of like nah, and then I got back into it actually sort of in 2017. I was pregnant with my second.
Is this in Australia?
No, this is still in Monaco. Because when Craig and I separated, I decided to take the business over, and I was going to run Triangl, and I was so excited. I was going to move to New York. So I went back again and started like looking at how that would work. And then that didn't work out. Craig kind of wanted to get back involved, and he...
That's tricky when you're going through separation. Not to delve, but I'd imagine
no, it was
business partners, life partners, and parents.
We should have separated a long time before we actually did.
Right.
But when everything is so enmeshed, kids, business, your entire relationship is built around the business. Like we literally started Triangl at the very beginning. So I didn't know how to separate. I didn't know how to separate. I was like, it doesn't work. And I didn't want to let Triangl go. So we ended up just staying together for a lot longer than we should have. But then I took the business over. It got really messy. And then I just said, I just want out. I just want to take some cash off the table and go and move back to Australia. And
so he bought you out?
Yeah, but he defaulted and we went on a 4-year legal battle, which we only settled 2 years ago. So that was fun. But we get along really well. We're amicable. We kept like our head above the water as much as possible through the process. Did we settle for the amount that I think we know? But anyway.
And then now that that's all done, with regards to the kids, because you got 4 kids.
Yes.
Do they live between the 2?
No. So I have 2 with Craig and 2 with my husband now, Zach, and Oscar and Ollie are with me full time. Just because it's easier because I'm based here full time. So Craig travels a lot and he doesn't really have the means, not the means, he has the means. He doesn't have the sort of like, he can't be there with them. Yeah. So it's better for them to be here. So I have all 4.
Can I ask before we move away from Triangl? Because Marty goes.
We probably need to. We've got a podcast that goes for an hour.
We do.
I know.
We literally.
I know, but there's one thing I think is really interesting is and you've gone through this with WHITEFOX, and most business owners do at some point. What are there any moments you look back on and go, geez, it was on a knife's edge. There was something that could have happened or didn't happen that could have set the trajectory a very, very different way.
Many times. The main one was when we found out sort of about 6 months in, or even a little longer than that our factory were stealing our products and copying them and selling them in China, and had basically started a process to register the Triangl trademark in China.
Which is probably pretty typical for brands who make entire fair.
Yes, absolutely. It happens all the time. You've got to really protect yourself, because if they sniff out that a brand is successful, they do it. It's just what they do. It's not even that they're in the wrong. That's how they do business.
We'll go to Shenzhen. You see knockoffs everywhere, right?
That's how they do business.
So how do you combat that? And what was the risk?
It was really stressful. We basically Craig went to, I was pregnant. No, I wasn't pregnant. I was just in Hong Kong still. I didn't go because it wasn't safe. Craig went to go to the factory to try and get everything back, and basically was locked into a factory. It was like a very stressful experience because in China, especially rural China, you just don't know what can happen. And like people go missing. And I was on the phone to him and I could hear him getting really angry because he turned up with a truck to take everything and they weren't going to give it to him even though it was our stock. And I could hear him getting angry and I was like, please just walk away. It's not worth it. Like, it's not worth it. Like, you're actually probably going to get killed here. Like, you need to walk away. And we had to walk away and we lost all of our stock, everything. We had no fabric, we had no bikinis, and we were selling products and
you need to find a new factory.
Yeah. And we didn't have anything, and we were still selling online.
And could you stop them copying, or did you just have to double down on your
We
own
had doubled
stuff?
down, and we went and registered Triangl in China, and we managed to stop them. They registered a different brand called Brakinis that was like a complete copy of our brand. I know. Brakinis. And that was the fate of our existence for a really long time. That was terrible. And then there was Victoria's Secret ripped us off for a really long time. And there were those things, you'd wake up and find another brand stealing your IP, and that would feel kind of sometimes like it was the end, but then you realize after the 10th time that nothing actually kills you in business. It just makes you stronger.
Well, I woke up today. I woke up today to see a message of this guy who's just put these properties live with the deal. And his company's called Cool Koala Real Estate.
I think it's going to be okay.
That's kind of endearing a little bit.
And you know what? I'm kind of like, let's not send him a legal letter.
He's Cool
Just run with it. You Cool Koala. It's pretty funny.
Cool Koala. You go.
And also, I always find this interesting. What were the other name options out of curiosity? Because Triangl, you've gone with Triangl, no E. You've obviously, something's triggered that, or was it always the name?
It was always the name.
Really?
Yeah, and I hated it so much. But it was because Triangl bikinis was the shape we were going to go with, and it was the shape that we did.
Did anyone ever think it was Triangl?
Triangl. Oh, yeah. Like Triangl?
Yeah.
Triangl all the time. Yeah.
I remember so many people saying different names.
Triangl bikinis.
Yeah, Triangls.
Okay, so you're back in Australia now, yeah?
Back.
And you've got this period now where you've finished.
Yes.
What are you then doing?
Just trying to recover.
Because this 10 years is crazy. Like,
This 10 years
there's
is
been
nuts.
so many things, like I said, that
Yes.
you've done. And you know what? It's funny. It's like, because we also know each other through a very good mutual friend who's been on the podcast, David the Medium.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people don't realise that, you know, when you're posting about shopping and you know, property or cars or kids,
Yes.
like what I do, people automatically go, oh, they're materialistic. But they don't understand that we're actually extremely spiritual.
Yes.
And that we like the material things, but they come and go.
Yes.
And I think there's this tall poppy when if you do share, which you're a big sharer, I'm a big sharer, people can get the wrong read on that person until they sit with them and they see how humble they actually are.
Yes.
And I think that's a really interesting thing with your social. It's very similar to how I look at social. It's you share a lot, and I think it's a superpower, and you need to keep doing it. And I also think that overseas, it's celebrated, and for some reason here it's not.
I know, we'll talk about this morning because there's a brand called Set Active, an American brand that just did a launch and they made $1 million in sales, and the founder shared that on her Instagram, and we were like, imagine doing that here.
Yeah,
You'd be just thrown in the bubbling pot. Like it's just so weird here. But I think because I think also like when you are, you know, more, you know who you are. I don't really care what anyone else thinks. It's like I'll share. I mean, I have such a love for fashion, and I love my car, and I love my house, and I love my nice things. I always will. And I'm just like, people that know me know that, and they know that it's just part of my life, and it's not anything that I'm too stuck on. And people that don't know, I'm like,
it's sweeter as well when you've worked for it.
What's the thing? I'm not like a trust fund baby.
Yeah, it's
I
fun
came from nothing.
I respect it and love it. And I love it when I see you posting because it's nice to follow. And I know so many people that enjoy it.
Yeah.
But then you can also see like how I have sometimes where you don't post for a week or two because you actually just need a rest because people don't realise that it is actually work. Like,
yes,
it is. Yeah. Whilst you can do it, you know, I find it easy. You clearly find it easy, but it does get to the point where you actually just need to rest your brain for a week or two.
I always think of it as like it's such an output of energy, and when I'm feeling really like I have a lot to give, that's when I show up on socials a lot, it's a flow-on effect because it's like my energy, if it's on, I know can impact someone positively as well, whatever it is, whatever I'm talking about. But then when I'm not feeling like it's not like I'm feeling bad. It's just sometimes I feel like I need to go within.
Yes.
And I'll have big breaks. I've had really big breaks over the last few years. Like one where people are like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just just
Chilling.
busy. I'm just chilling. Like, you know, and then I'll have periods where I'm like, at the moment I have a lot of energy. So I'm like, I'm just sharing it. I'm just putting it out there in whatever way. And sometimes it's about my brand and sometimes it's about my kids and sometimes it's about.
But you haven't hidden behind the struggles either in the book, and you talked about the impact. I mean, as you've said over and over in this podcast, like having that unicorn story isn't all sunshine and roses.
No.
It's hard work. It's you know, mental health struggles and physical health struggles and all those things.
Yeah.
So you don't hide behind that.
No.
But it's obviously taken its toll on you as well.
Yeah, totally. Like I mean, I think I've grown up a lot online and you know, at Triangl it was behind the scenes, but I used a lot of, you know, vulnerability to help me, and sharing that publicly was really helpful. I think because I held it in so much how miserable I was during a lot of the Triangl period. I didn't realize how powerful it would be for me to be able to actually tell others that it wasn't as good, because I didn't want to ruin the illusion that people had in my life, because I was like, I need to hang on to that because that's all I've got. And then when I actually started sharing that I actually wasn't that happy and that money wasn't really doing it for me and that there were a lot of things going on, there was so much healing from that for me. And that was actually what sort of got me into the next chapter of my life so well, is because I was able to share it so vulnerably with other people and have them just kind of, it was like a breath of, like, it was like a relief.
I know how you feel, because last year when I had my 4 operations, I actually shared the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, I was getting messages all the time, like, another one. How are you like still like working and opening offices and filming and this and that and the other? But I just thought, well, if I'm going to be laying here, like really, like when you stop me and I'm laying down for 2-3 weeks, my brain starts going crazy.
Yeah.
So I literally would just be doing Insta stories, and the community of followers would actually just help me get through.
Yeah.
Because of the DMs or a conversation or an opening or, you know, Lamana and Son sending me a gift box and, you know, that making me happy.
You need it. The connection.
The connection's
it's the connection.
there. Because you get it through family, but then it's called social media because it actually is socializing.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that like I am quite social in DMs more than anything.
Yeah. No, I'm exactly. Like that was it. It's like the way that little community online has helped me through so many things.
And how many people come to you for like health advice?
Yes.
I got a DM yesterday from this guy who goes, mate, I'm 39. I just had a heart attack.
Oh my God.
And I don't know what to do. Like I saw you last year do this, that and the other. Can you give me some pointers?
Yeah.
Because what I say or what you say isn't coming from a medical standpoint. It's coming from I've experienced what you're now going through.
Yeah. I know that feeling, and I know you felt that. And how do I feel better? Like more just like emotionally and mentally.
He's wanting to know like how do I mentally get through?
Yeah.
And you'd get that all the time.
Yeah.
Particularly with the book being such a success.
Yes. Yeah. I actually had someone get really annoyed at me last night because I think people hold me as a bit of a role model, and sometimes I'm like, don't put me up there. Like I don't want to be out there.
I'm just me.
Yeah, and it was actually really interesting because I had to kind of say to her, like, I know you're disappointed in me. It was about a girl that shares like skinny content, and she was sort of, you know, sending this girl to me saying like, this is really bad. And I was saying, look, you know, like everyone, like online is just this like cesspool of people sharing like medical advice, and it's like I can't focus on that at the moment. Like I can't be that role model publicly. I think I don't really share that much aside from I guess like my own like business and kids and family and fashion at the moment, because I don't have the bandwidth to go too further into it, because I just feel like it just becomes this like
it becomes too muddy.
And it's never ending. Like if you go after all the people on social media that are being, you know, disingenuous, like it's endless. It's like you're not going to find any of these solutions. We don't have the solutions.
How many people have asked you for advice on how they should do social?
Yeah, look,
it's an annoying question.
I feel like I get asked like that and still about the Instagram, and I think people more so just want to know like what I kind of pick up is sort of like how do I make a lot of money really fast? Like how do I have like Triangl, like how do I have that? Like can you step it out for me? Like step it out. And I'm like, well, it's just not. It's never to be done again. And you know what? I'm proving that. I think I'm getting it less now because I'm proving that you can't do it again with my new brand, because I'm doing that in such a different way. And it's not a unicorn business. And I don't want it to be, because I will not survive.
How weird is it how you did launch your new brand, in the office that we
I
launched.
know.
Our second office in.
I know.
It's so bizarre.
It's so bizarre. It's such a cute space, though. I love it.
it.
We're turning that into a store. So
Yes.
in September, October.
Well, tell us about Deering. Tell us
Yes.
about because you had obviously quite a big period after Triangl. You're doing your life. You're writing a book, doing that, and
Yes.
then you
Raising
step
kids.
back
Raising
into
kids.
raising kids.
Trying to
So-
become the Lord Mayor. Deputy Lord
Trying to
Mayor.
become the Lord Mayor. Yeah.
We'll get to the
Nick-
Lord Mayor after Deering because
That's funny.
Deering's got I love your content strategy.
Look, it's actually so different to Triangl, and I wanted it to be. I don't want to model it on that. I'm not interested in being that person that can replicate things. It's just not, I don't want to replicate it because it wasn't an enjoyable experience for me in a lot of the ways. The things that I am replicating with Deering are the customer service, the finding a solution for a customer through product. And I think one of the biggest things at Triangl that we were able to get and do was create a feeling. I wanted people to feel good in bikinis because I knew it was a sort of a category that was hard for women to feel good in. And I'm really running with that with Deering really more publicly and visibly, like the feeling of being able to put a good outfit on and how it can impact your mental health for the better is so powerful to me. It's literally how I dress every day. Like I look forward to it because I know that it changes who I want to be.
Well, what you wear can actually make you feel like $1 million.
Exactly. And it can make you feel powerful or friendly or cozy or feminine or masculine or cool or all the feelings. And it actually becomes less about how you look and to other people as well, and it becomes about how you feel.
But you've also gone from a brand like Triangl was specifically female,
Yes,
to Deering, which you've obviously tried to make sure can be for all genders.
Yes,
And I know
yes.
I saw you saying something about that feeling of, particularly, I don't think about our wives like putting our jacket on or our shirt on, and it's kind of sexy.
Yeah.
No,
You know,
it's real
And
sexy.
women like it too.
Yeah.
and it's
The
that
oversized.
I don't know if I want Charlotte in my jocks.
G sleeps in one sometimes. Yeah, exactly.
Hold on.
I don't mind the
G-
men's undies.
G
They're comfy.
sleeps in your jocks.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, they're
Because
shorts.
men's jocks are like little shorts.
They're
They're
cozy.
like-
They're
yeah.
little boy shorts. I mean, that's why they're called
But
boy
what about
shorts.
the little dick part?
No, I don't. I'm not Y fronts. I'm a like a short.
Yeah, I like a
You're
white
like,
front.
how?
Yeah, I'm
is
trying to
this-
go, okay, so you
Some
find
of the
her
visuals,
sexy
Marty.
when she's
So-
wearing your little Ys. I'm thinking, Shuey, really?
No. The point
Is this an
the
exclusive?
genderless, it's like it's. I mean, we're not grandstanding it because I just don't want to, and we're still working out really where our positioning is in the market. But I've always worn menswear, always, and my husband always wears my menswear, and so therefore he's kind of ends up wearing a lot of my clothes. And even one of the jackets we're releasing tomorrow is like it's a menswear jacket that's been reimagined for women. So a lot of men I think will buy it, and I love that. Like I think that's really, and it's. I think it's the way it kind of should be with my sort of fashion anyway, because I do wear like everything is a little oversized and bigger, and there's spaces for femininity, but there's also a lot of like room for masculine, which I think is cool.
Is this the third
Collection.
line?
This is the third collection.
Third
yeah.
collection.
Yeah. So it's out, and then a few more pieces are coming out sort of in the next month.
Limited runs?
We're definitely going more limited. We went too hard with our first two collections and made too much. I just didn't really have any idea on the numbers, and I just produced too much.
And but is it now all sold? Or
We're selling through it. It's
Yeah.
not all sold. Some things are sold out, and then some aren't.
yeah.
That's like
I need to get Charlotte some of those jeans. Are there any of those
there's
jeans?
those. Yes.
There is those jeans?
Yes, those
Okay, I
jeans.
need to get onto that.
Okay, we have those. We do have those.
I fucking love those jeans.
Which color?
The ones that have got like the camel pocket and then the cream
Oh
pocket.
yeah. The white with the camel.
Yeah.
They're cool. I
They're
almost
so
wore those
cool.
today. Actually, they're like my favorite. I love them. I feel very cool in those.
Do they come in men's?
They are men's. My husband wears them.
Oh, fuck.
They actually look better on men because the rise of them suits a men's
Okay.
body type.
Maybe I'll try them on.
They are.
I'll share them with
They're
Charlotte.
unisex.
There you go.
Oh, I'll do what Shura does with his undies with
yes,
with his wife.
exactly. There you go.
Perfect.
Closet share.
But again, a very different strategy. Like
Very
Triangl, you
different.
were like creating and selling before you'd even had the order, pretty much, because
Yes.
you knew orders were coming in.
Yes.
This is a very different thing.
Very, very different. I'm doing this a lot slower and with a lot more intention because I can, and it's a lot more enjoyable. Like I'm not planning on, like I want this to be, you start to think about things. Like at Triangl, it was kind of like, let's make it as big as we can and that'll be amazing. And now I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's sustainable if I have that. Obviously, I want it to be a sustainable business that continues to grow and be super profitable. But do I need it to get to the heights that Triangl did? Like, no.
It feels like it's got more purpose for you,
Yeah, it
this
does.
brand. Like
I
it's-
love it. Like it's my like passion project, labor of love, like all of those terms I apply to this and it's like, and one of these things that I think I have a few people that are my mentors that they don't even know they are. I just like everything they say, I'm like, oh my God. And one of them is actually Andrew McConnell. And we are friends with him, so I do know him. And he said, you know, he's 55 now or in his 50s and he's got all the success. Like he's just absolutely killing it. And he was like, he said, you know, 15 years ago I was your age and I was just starting to like make a run at a few things, but it was like pretty challenging. And he's like, I was happier then. Not that I'm not unhappy now, but I'm not more happy now. Like they're the good days. I have a little post-it on my mirror that says, these are the good days.
Well,
a smiley face.
I had a conversation a few months ago, which is along those lines.
Yeah.
And it was a friend of mine that sold his business for about 180 million.
Yeah.
He then wanted to understand why he was feeling the way that he was feeling.
Yeah.
So he went and spoke to a bunch of guys and girls. There was maybe 6 or 7 interviews that he did of people that were still running their companies at 70 and ones that had exited very early in their 40s.
Yeah.
And the ones that were still running their companies were a lot happier in their 70s than the people that he was speaking to that were between 40 and 50 that had exited. And they had lost a lot of their purpose and they struggled to find what the next thing was because they also lost a bit of their identity.
I mean, that was me. I tried to retire at 33 because I could and I was so miserable. I was like, what? And I was like, maybe I'll do like philanthropy again. And it's just like, you need a purpose. Like this is, and that's why I love what I'm doing now because there's a purpose behind it and I feel fulfilled right now. And so like for me, it's that constant like just reminding myself, like even though I want to get caught up and I'm like, no, because right now is what I'm going to look back on and be like, they were the good times.
But your kids also get a chance to watch mum building.
Yeah.
And that is you teaching them, you know, work ethic, showing up, being creative, being responsible, you know, just that drive.
Yeah.
That's what you impart on your children. Whereas if you're sitting around drinking lattes, just being, there's not many lessons in that.
No. And you just wouldn't be, I just wasn't really happy when I was doing that. Like I was filling my day with not much and it was really sad and empty. And then I was reacting with my kids because I wasn't happy. So they're feeling that. Whereas even though I'm working more now and I'm probably not as home as much, my time with them is far more enjoyable and they're happier as a result of me being happy.
How do you go with the new business and then running as Deputy Lord Mayor? And how does that conversation come up?
Yeah.
How do you then decide to execute, give it a crack and try and juggle everything? And how hard is politics?
Oh my God. It was a baptism of fire because I've never been in politics before. And I got a phone call from a girl who ended up running against me, actually, hilariously. It was a bit messy. And she said, would you consider running for Lord Mayor? Like the top job.
Good mates with her now?
No, she's lovely. She's actually lovely, but it was probably the first dirty politics scenario that I'd been involved in at the very start because my campaign manager ended up kind of going with us and then he brought someone else in Aaron, who run as mayor, and it kind of went against what she was planning and it got a bit yuck. But she called me up and just planted the idea in my mind, basically. And I was like, oh, and this is before.
Well, this goes back to your sentence. Why not?
Why not? Although this was a bit of I should have thought about it a little bit before I did it.
But do you regret doing it?
I don't regret it. No, because it was, even though it set Deering back a lot because I was running, we literally launched Deering on September 17th and we went to polls
it all happened in the same week.
October 20, no, it was like 3 weeks after.
Yeah, it was full on.
Horrendous. So that was our biggest campaigning month, obviously, like before. And it was when I was launching my brand and like, I just was not able to do both. It was really like, it was really challenging. It was stressful and hard, but I loved it. It was a new experience. Like people that have no idea who I am, have no idea what I'm about. They're in a different world to me. It was so fascinating, and I met some incredible people that are doing the most incredible things in politics. There's also some horrendous people that have the wrong intentions, and just really happy to kind of tell you how
it needs to be.
How it needs to be, and like how ill-intentioned it is, and then be like, but that's okay. That's kind of what we do.
People don't trust it. That's why people don't trust it.
So what I find really fascinating is that you're able to now see behind the curtain of a whole different industry, right? So, you know, professional sports people, there's a feel. The real estate industry, there's like a look and feel and a language. The fashion industry, there's a click, there's this, there's that.
Yes.
What is the political sphere
They're
like?
terrible business people. Oh
But
my
also-
God, they're so bad at business, but they are.
Are there personalities?
Their personalities, it's a real mix. Like the ones that I remember the most, there's like a few people that I met. There's one Labor candidate called Phil Reid, who's like a long-term Labor. Like he stands for everything that is good and right about that political party. Like he has so much integrity. This guy just blew me away. We ended up getting his preferences because I sat with him and I think I impressed him. And this guy was just had so much integrity, but that was rare. It was really rare. Most people are doing it because they don't really know what else to do. They might have studied politics. Local government as well is a different kettle of fish. It's a different beast. What I kind of understood in my small, like going into state and then into federal, is it's just about power. The more it gets up there, and it's they all have the same policies and the same.
But it always
belief
struck me as they were the sort of people who at school were, heading that direction.
Yeah. They're on that path and they don't really learn about life and they don't really understand the business world and they don't understand the reality of where things are at. They're very detached.
How weird though that such big decisions that affect so many millions of lives.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Through people that unfortunately lack a lot of that real life understanding of what things that they impose can do to people's lives.
Think about what Bruce Keeber said. We had Bruce Keeber on the podcast as well. And like during COVID, when politicians were making all these calls about hospitality, he's like, "Do you guys not understand?
No, they don't.
X, Y, Z.
They
you need
genuinely
the business
don't.
leaders there, right?
And they don't have any consultants. They don't care. Like even like
So they
after
don't
I lost,
research?
no, not really. They have to read so many like impact statements and all these policies and these things, and they're so busy with the paperwork that they don't actually have the time to step outside of that and be briefed on things properly. Like they're being briefed by people that are briefing them in a certain way. And because that's how it works when you get to a more senior level. You're just getting briefed all the time. So you're not doing any of your own work. You're just getting briefed by people who have their own agenda, who are telling you what they want to tell you. The one thing that is like the real like thing that I remember that just for me sets it so straight with politics is I got asked afterwards if I would consider continuing running, like potentially for state or federal, because I had a knack for politics, which I actually think is a little bit of an insult when I think about it, but that I was really a natural at it because I'd gone into it new and I was doing press conferences and I was good because I'd done enough sort of public facing work to sort of be able to do it. And then he said, you should and I love this man that he's like, he's a politician himself and I do love him, but he said, you should run for one of the major parties, only one of the major parties. It doesn't matter which one.
Yeah. I
doesn't
knew you were going to say it.
matter. And I was like, well, it actually fucking does.
I know. But this is the
why,
problem with politics right now
wild.
is if you tie yourself to a party, and we don't want to get too political here, but
Yeah.
you tie yourself to a party, you are immediately tied to all their policies, where you might be very fiscally minded or you
Yeah.
want a free market, but you don't want anti-abortion.
Yeah.
You have to because you're in that party. So that's
Yeah.
where it's really tricky, I think, for
So
individuals.
tricky. I mean, we ran as independents, which was amazing. It meant we could just do what we wanted. But the thing is, independents just don't have a shot.
Well, look at what's happening now, right?
They just don't, because people want to believe in anything and they just want to feel safe and secure, and an independent doesn't make them feel safe and secure because they don't. But Labor and Liberal, they're the same beast.
A big
at the
question.
moment.
How do you juggle everything in terms of running the business, your
Yeah.
experiences, looking after yourself, being able to travel? A question that would get thrown all the time, but even just say 3 or 4 life hacks that mean that you can stay level-headed as much as possible, because we're not
Yeah.
always level-headed.
No.
We lose our shit
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But what are a few do we ever? But what are some of those things that
Yes.
you do personally?
Yeah, like I kind of have like 3 buckets. So there's family, there's work, and then there's social life. And you can never have the 3 buckets full ever. So I pretty much drop social life immediately. Like it's just not a thing. I don't go to events. I don't participate in that side of life at all, and I don't miss it, and I don't want to, because then if I can split my time between work and family, then I can make it. Then I could do it. So I will work all day, I get my 6 hours a day, which isn't enough, but that's what I get. And then I'm home at dinner time and I'm switched off. I go to bed really early so I can get up really early. I train every morning. I make time during the day unapologetically, even though I do sometimes feel guilty, but I make time during the day to do the things that I need to do for myself, whether it's Chinese medicine, like a spirituality practice, a lymphatic massage, all these things that I know.
Will it be daily or every couple of days?
No, it's probably like once or twice a week.
Same.
Because I know that that's how I stay on.
Every day I'd feel too guilty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Even though it'd probably be better to do it every
100%.
day. But I do feel bad. I'm always like, I'm not going on. Like to my team, I'm like, I'm out for a little bit. And then I'm like, I should just, because I want them to also do that too. I think everyone should be able to do that within their working hours. It makes people more productive and efficient. We have a small team, so we can do it. But that's my main thing, is dropping the social life and doing, like continually working on myself, like making sure that I take that time, that if I have a reaction to something where I'm triggered and I am feeling like, shitty with my kids, and I just have to like think like, where is that coming from, and place it, and then go, and I'm very externally resourced. So like if I have a problem,
you know how to go find the solution.
Yes, and I have to. I can't internalize. My husband's the opposite. He can internalize everything and he's so good at it, but I'm the other way. So when I get home, I'm like, and he's just like, and he just internalizes it.
I've got a phone number and a location that can fix anything.
Yeah.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
Charlotte is exactly like your husband.
Oh, yeah.
And at the races, you can see like they're very similar in personality. They can just
they're just like
self-sufficient.
Yeah. Whereas I'm like ding 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 ding. So they're like that's and also just knowing that, like, and it's such a cliche thing, but my Chinese medicine doctor actually said it to me during the week, and it just really resonated with me, that Rome wasn't built in a day, because I get really impatient when I know where I want to go, and I know where I want to go with so many things. Like I know where I want to go with a business, and I know where I want to go with raising my children, and I know where I want to go with all these things, these visions that I have for my life. And I get impatient because I can see where they're going, but I just have to like slow down.
Where are things 10 years from now?
Get there. Ooh,
or even better, because it's probably easier to answer.
Yeah.
Where's Erin Deering 5 years from now?
I'm definitely still here.
In Melbourne.
And I just running Deering. I'm hoping by then I'm able to have found a little more skew towards family, because I'm a mum of 4 and I want to be there. I have this really hyper fixation of wanting to be there more when they're in high school. I feel like when they're in primary school, like there's no huge problems. Like they're kind of happy if you're just sitting at the dinner table and you're just there. But when I have 3 boys and 1 girl. And when they're coming home at the age, I know from the age of 13 onwards, I didn't want to talk to my parents, but if they forced me to, I would have been a lot.
You watch Adolescence?
No, I haven't yet. I'm scared.
Yeah.
But that sort of, so I want to be a little more, and it might not even be that I have to make a choice. It just might naturally flow that way, and I break up my day differently and I work in a different way. I'm not a night owl, so I can't work once like I get home. Like, I'm done. I'm early morning.
I start fading
by
4 o'clock.
Yeah, same.
You can see it in his eyes. He's like, mate, you gotta go, mate. Go.
I get sent out of the office
I
all the time.
I was in the office till 6 last night, and I was like, it's like midnight.
Hey, but are you chirping like as if you've had 4 coffees at 5 a.m?
Yes, I'm like, yeah. Not 5. I feel like I still have to recover from the kids and still kind of, I'm not 5 yet, but my goal is to 4:30 rise. Like that's my goal. And I'm like, I'm 5:30 and I'm like edging closer and closer.
Oh, you'd love life on the GC.
I just like, I know, it doesn't work in Melbourne. Yeah.
It doesn't.
I know.
Selling the dream to everyone. We're going to fall short. We're going to fall short of the 6-hour pod. But
I know.
I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot to go through.
Yeah.
And you've had an incredible life. So congratulations on what you've achieved, and also being so open with the pitfalls. That it's not just all sunshine and roses. That we all I saw was articles about this unicorn business. And you're like, oh my God, how good's that? We all
dream
want that.
life.
When the reality is very different.
Yes.
So congratulations for getting through it, and then
thank you.
Having a rebirth with the Deering brand and what you're doing now. Do you still have any Triangl in the cupboard that you just can look at?
Yes,
every now and go,
I have a huge box of it downstairs, and I still wear it.
Do you?
I had one rebellious summer after I exited where I wouldn't touch it, and I was like, I'm done. And I wore like every other brand you could.
Have you ever burnt a bikini?
No, I don't think I
because that shit would go bonkers.
I was going to say, I don't think that would be very good. No, but I definitely had my era of hating on it a little bit, but now I'm like a huge supporter of the brand. The girls that work for the brand, especially one of them who was there just before I left, is like an amazing, very, very talented marketing brain, and she just took the business over from me and did
it's
such
still
a
going
good job.
strong.
Still going really well. I mean, they've been absolutely screwed by the tariffs.
Sure.
Like so bad. Like
Killer.
it's like I think a $90 bikini, including the tariffs, is $200, $300 or something.
In America now, yeah.
And that's their biggest market. So they're navigating that, I think, as well as they can. So that's a bit stressful. It's stressful for a lot of businesses, actually.
But well done. And
Thanks.
Obviously, people can come and see you at Deering in Hawkesbury Village in Melbourne.
Very
If you're in
soon,
Melbourne.
yes.
If they're in Australia, it's online. It's all online.
It's all online. Like we are definitely taking it out into the real world later this year and next year. We're Australian based, so our biggest market's here, and we're split between Sydney and Melbourne at the moment. So we will take a pop-up up to Sydney, hopefully later this year.
Love it. I
Yeah.
can't wait to come in and get my jeans.
Your jeans.
You'll see Marty walking around in a camel pocket. Hey, Erin Deering, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks,
That was
guys.
fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.